Tree Lady.
And I am that guy, Marty McFly, and I'm not high today.
You not?
I'm just saying. Today I'm not, but maybe later on.
Did you really just say you not high today, man?
What's wrong with saying I'm not high?
No, I'm
not on drugs.
The reason why I'm questioning that is because now you're making me think, were you high all the other times on the show?
Well, this is the first time with this new place, so I can't say all of my skills and everything, and what I do in preparation of the show.
I'm messing with you, Marty. What's up, dude? How was your weekend, man?
So far so good. I am. You know what? I hate being sick, and that's what. But I've been dealing with something right now. Right. And I don't know if it's because I've been dealing with old folks, and they don't put something on me or something like that, but. I'm serious. I've had a leg problem, okay?
Okay, what's your leg problem, man?
I don't know. It's just been hurting from like the kneecap down.
Right.
But I was just dealing with this 75-year-old lady.
Right.
Who calls me with the same problem.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like...
Then maybe you got her problem through osmosis. But you know what? We need to talk a little bit to our new people that maybe haven't got a chance to know us a little bit.
Right, and you got to understand who Donnie Jones really is, the Monday through Friday lady.
Yes.
Who is the arborist.
Yep.
And the lady who needs your money. So if you got some trees somewhere, call her at what, 770-413-TREE, 770-413-TREE. What he's talking about, guys, is that I own a tree care in Atlanta called Don's Tree Service, but I also have the opportunity to do this amazing show here with Mr. Marty McFly. Why don't you tell them a little bit about you, Marty? I am a crazy pastor that don't want you to come to my church because I have enough people there now that has enough issues.
Right.
That it's like, I don't want no more issues.
But Marty,
no more
I
issues.
have said this to you before. The church is for people with issues. How you gonna say you don't want the people with issues to come?
I have reached my limit of issues. I'm just saying. I canceled the subscription for new people.
Right.
Just I don't advertise.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I still try to help people and give them some kind of inspirational vitamin or some kind of inspirational, just a little bit of tidbit to make. Tomorrow a better day.
We can't use the word inspiration. Or maybe we can use it.
It ain't copyrighted. Seriously, the only thing that I can think
of. For those of you back in the day that remember this other place. I'm not going to go there. I'm just saying, I heard you use the term inspirational vitamin, and it brought up some
other
ideas.
Thoughts. But now give me, one of the things that we do like to do, especially in the beginning of the show, is an inspirational kind of seed that you like to plant.
I like to plant a seed.
Right. So give me your seed for today.
And you know what? The seed for today is let it go. I'm in the tree care industry, right?
Okay.
And a lot of times people have trees in their yard.
Mm-hmm.
And those trees have dead, dying, or hazardous limbs. And they wait forever and ever to get the trees taken care of. So in life, and then what eventually happens is the tree falls or the tree limb falls and it damages their house or their car. Well, I think in life, it's kind of like that too. You have people in your life that aren't adding value to your life. They're not inspirational. They're not, basically encouraging or anything like that. And they kind of suck the life out of you. I'm telling people right now that in a situation like that, where you're in relationship with someone that's not healthy, let it go. Cut it off like I cut them dead branches off.
You know what? I like that. And it makes me think of something too. Like you're saying that you have limbs and stuff that you just don't deal with at that time.
Things you don't deal with.
If you don't deal with it, it's going to come back and fall on your house.
Right.
And fall on your situations, because I do that often.
Right.
Where my truck light will come on.
Right.
And I don't deal with it.
But you know what's funny?
Until the truck
I'm going to tell you a
is
funny
overheating story. And
my husband, and this reminds me, because when I was a kid, I used to do it when I was a teenager too. My husband got in my truck one day and he's like, your oil light is on. And I was like, okay, Ann, what does that mean?
You need to deal with that.
You need to deal with that, So he checked my oil and he was like, not a lick of oil is in your engine. And I was like, well, how am I supposed to know that, honey? And he's like, that's why the oil light came on. He's like, how long has it been on? I was like, I don't know, maybe a month or so, but the car was running just fine.
It's procrastination. Procrastination.
But on my end, it wasn't necessarily procrastination. It's just, those kind of things don't register with me. Now they register with me because my husband has an encouraged me and educated me that I need to pay attention to those.
So now let me ask you this: when a bill comes to your house,
that's different, dude.
But no, because trust me, I do the same thing.
Right.
When the bill comes to my house, it's like, okay, I owe them, but I ain't gonna pay them today. You know, and I'll sit it to the side and I'll wait for a minute.
Right.
And that minute keeps going farther and farther along.
Right.
Until you wake up and your light's off. And it's like, I had the money, but I keep putting the stuff off. And, now is the time where it's like, I don't have the money all together. But I do that often and all the time because, it's funny. My parents, my father, soon as the bill will come in the mailbox,
he paid it.
He'll write a check,
send
it off.
That's a great way to be.
Yeah.
I ain't quite there yet, but I'm working on a budget.
No, my mama
putting a budget together and stuff.
That's a good thing to do. Is always
and
have
as
a
an
budget.
entrepreneur, I have to do that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You keep cutting me off. What's wrong? What's the problem? I'm trying to talk about my mama. It's like what, you don't care about my mama or something? You talked about. I could talk about my daddy.
I love your mama. Go ahead, finish your statement, man.
I'm just saying. The two ways of being raised. My father paid all his bills on time.
Yeah.
My mother, no.
Okay.
But she paid her bills, but it was kind of like towards the end of the month. Mm-hmm. It's like she'll sit down in the living room and do all her bills and all that kind of stuff. Right. Those are different practices that I did not learn.
Right.
And a lot of times with people, we learn bad practices.
Right.
We learn bad habits.
Right.
And it's a pattern that grows and grows and grows to adulthood, to even with kids, with your business, with anything else. As an entrepreneur, you need to be focused on your bills and stuff because those little things of paying bills late, that adds on your credit.
Yep. True.
And if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you need to think about those things when it's time to make a, like a loan or something like that.
Or payroll.
Payroll too, yes. Yes, payroll.
No, but
definitely.
I'm glad you bring that up because for the people that don't really know us, I mean, obviously, our goal in this show is to motivate, inspire, and help people transform their lives. So we joke a lot, we hang out, and we play. Once again, I'm Donnie the Tree Lady.
I'm Marty McFly.
Yeah.
That guy.
That's me. And the name of our show is Donnie Jones Live. And we try to come to people weekly. We have a little bit of humor going on and everything. But our goal is to be able to drop some seeds out there that'll help people. So for those of you that don't know us, this is what we do. And give you common sense,
thoughts like, I don't know why. This is the thing with me.
What's that?
And this is just a common sense life thing, okay?
Yeah, what's that?
Why is it that people talk louder when they're on the cell phone?
I don't know.
It's like we could talk right now.
I want to talk to you about that, but I got something to tell you about that later on in the show.
Okay.
But I want to kind of go back to what you were saying about being an entrepreneur and that things get passed down. Because I'm in the tree care industry. I grew up in the tree care industry. Mm-hmm. And my dad, he was the type of guy, he made a lot of money, but he also spent a lot of money. So it was always, we either had money or we didn't. And we had money, we didn't. And it's funny because even though I'm way more successful than my dad ever even dreamed of,
okay,
I still had to learn to get over that cycle of bringing money in and then it going out, bring money in and going out. And that came down to me learning how to make a budget for my company, learning how to manage things and getting the right people in place. For the longest time, we were like killing it, but I didn't even have a good accountant for like the longest time because as a kid, my dad never had that, So I think a lot of times, since we do kind of appeal to a lot of people that are entrepreneurs or people that are out doing their own thing, one of the things that I like to do is get people in my life that have strengths that I don't have,
Okay.
And for example, you have more humor than I do, so I keep you in my life because you keep me laughing.
Well, I keep you in my life because you pay me. I just gotta
Marty,
keep it real.
did you just say that on the radio?
Hey, no, I'm saying sometimes you can be real. No, I love your spirit though. Outside of that, I do love your spirit and I learn what I love that I learned from you, as an entrepreneur and stuff like that. But business is business.
Absolutely. No, business is business, but I think about that because people do ask us, how do we do what we do? You know, and the thing is, they don't understand that, it takes a plan. People love to dream of stuff to do, but then they don't ever want to put a plan in place.
Right.
And that's what I did. When I started my company, I just was like, oh, well, I need to make some money. I'm going to go cut some trees,
But sometimes it starts with that,
Yeah.
Like since we're on a new station here, why don't you tell them how you got started with the tree service? Because I'm saying, I remember there was a time where there was a time that, when you just kind of down in your luck.
I was depressed. Before I started my company, I was actually in the network marketing industry. And I was doing that for a while and got to a point where I could tell. I could just, you know how you could just feel something ain't right? Well, I could feel something wasn't right with the company, and they wound up getting shut down by the FTC.
Okay.
Is that what it is? Federal Trade Commission? And I don't know, right? So anyway, they got
lost
shut down.
Your job.
I lost my job, basically.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
And I went for a drive, and I just was depressed, and I looked out over the horizon, and I was like, wait a minute. There's trees all over Atlanta. I'm going to start a tree service. And that's exactly how I started. It was just an idea that popped in my head, but it was because the last time I remember being happy was when I was in the tree care industry with my dad and my brother. The flip side of that is that the very first time I went out to go talk to somebody about trees, I got the job. So I just knew that I was doing the right thing, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on in the show if we have time. But right now, I know we've got to get to a break. But the main thing is, it is good to have idea, which is what I had when I started the company. But after a while, I had to put a plan in place in order for my company to grow.
So with this great company, how can they reach you?
Yes. If you want to reach us, you can reach the company at 770-413-TREE. That's 770-413-8733. And if you've got a question about the show or you just want to say hello to me and Marty, you can reach us at DonnieJonesLive@gmail.com. And I'll spell that for you because Donnie spelled a little weird. It's Donnie, Doni, Jones, Jones, live, Live, @gmail.com.
Go ahead with your bad self.
You go on with your bad
self. So if y'all need some trees, keep me at work, all right? Well, we'll be back with some more Donnie Jones Live.
Yeah. Welcome back to Donnie Jones Live. I am Donnie, the Tree Lady.
And I am Marty. Oh, we got some new people in here. I am the Honorable Marty, Minister of Ringer. Yes, God blesses me every day, and we're blessed with a new guest in here today.
We are.
I haven't changed my name.
You know what? I'm a hurt Marty. But guys, seriously, once again, going back to inspiring you, we have a lady on our show that is inspiring to me. And we had talked a little bit earlier about transformation and, motivating people to be their best self. And the reason why I wanted this amazing young lady to be on our show is that I like the fact that she thinks outside of the box. Okay. And she actually invited me to somewhere which I honestly had never, to see someone that I honestly had never thought about going to see. And now that I have, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's amazing when people can just with one invite or one word can open your mind to think a little bit differently. And this woman is a woman of God. She's a praying woman. She's a career woman. She's a woman that's in the construction industry. And she is truly a woman that thinks outside the box and is helping others think outside the box. And I'm talking about the beautiful lady known as Carmen.
Carmen.
Yeah, she ain't even got to have a last name. She's known as Carmen.
Carmen.
There you go.
That one like Madonna or, just
she just got one name. Pink, Madonna, Prince. I love it. Yes.
So how are you doing today?
I'm lovely. Who could complain with weather like this?
Okay. You know what? I am glad that you are here, and we're going to get into some of the stuff that we talked about, what she was talking about, which I went
we went to last night. Yeah.
But I'm glad that you're back because I got some women that I want you to, I'm putting you on the spot. I want you to lead them to another place because it's like a lot of times, I'll say it like this. In my church, I can't have a woman's ministry that's effective.
Right.
Because y'all want to bash men, and I'm going to sit there and try to justify certain things.
Well, but let me flip that, though. Not all women want to bash.
You ain't been to my church.
Okay, I have been to your church. I cut some trees at your church. Didn't I?
No, y'all looked at some trees.
Oh,
and
we
you
looked
had
at
some people
trees.
that push some grass down. And we're going to get on. That's a different story. She does really great work when they work. But
no, I do good work
she
when they pay.
Work. Yeah, that's true. That's true. We're a struggling church. But
go ahead, let Miss Carmen talk.
Yeah, but I wanted to actually invite her to kind of lead a women's ministry at my church, because right now I'm dealing with a lot of women that are dealing with things in life.
Right.
And it's funny because I talk to every one of them, and it's almost like the same subject or the same storyline, just put a different face.
Right.
He cheated on me. He abused me, or I don't feel like I have an identity because I put my whole identity in him.
Into him.
Now he's gone. Who am I? Dealing with, depression.
Yeah.
Dealing with self-esteem problems.
Right.
So this past Sunday, I grabbed a lot of them together.
Right.
And said, let's start something. And they all said, let's do it. But they're like, but who can put something together? Right. So I'm like, and see, she wouldn't give me her phone number the last time we talked. So now I'm putting her on the spot to say.
I probably won't give it to you today either.
See what I'm saying? So she is denying what the Lord has put in front of her. I'm just saying, the Lord don't call your own cell phone and said, can you help some people, just overcome.
Well, maybe we can talk about that off air.
No, but I'm willing to help.
Okay.
I am.
That's all I'm asking.
I am, but I wanted to just address that because I feel like, sometimes when you look at ministry and you look at opportunities, sometimes you feel like you have to have all the answers. And so when I hear you approach me, the first thing in my mind is like, well, I have my own struggles. I have my own identity struggles, my own life things that are transpiring. How can I be in a position to support and help other people? But I think that's just the example of what God wants us to do. Is a lot of times it's not within ourselves.
Right.
It's not in our own frame of where I feel like I'm able to do, but it's what He wants to do through you. So, yielding yourself in that capacity of not saying that you have the answers or you have a solution, but just having a willing heart and a willing spirit. And I think that that's the first step to any endeavor.
Oh yeah.
Well, I kind of think that is what we're talking about, is that eventually letting your mess become your message.
Yeah.
And I look at what you're doing and how you're affecting people's lives. And are you going to talk a little bit about your writing a little bit?
Sure.
Okay.
You bring it up.
Well, the real thing I want to talk about, to flip back to why we had talked about you coming on the show, is because you invited me to see Howard Schultz last night.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know me yet, I'm very politically
Stubborn.
I'm gonna hurt you.
No, politically.
I'm politically. I have an opinion.
Active.
Yeah, politically active. And I'm passionate about getting somebody in office that I feel will represent all people. Okay, and I am independent. I do not succumb to being a Republican or a Democrat, and I'm very serious about being independent because I don't think either side has all the answers. And of course, being independent doesn't have all the answers, but I think that it takes you out of the mix. And gives you a chance to take a sky view at what's out there. And yet last night you invited me to see Howard Schultz. And he wasn't even on my radar. The person that was on my radar, even though I don't like everything she stands for, was Kamala Harris. That was the only thing that was on my radar. The other ones are just a little bit too, even though I'm liberal, they're too liberal, and they seem to be anti-business. And as an entrepreneur, I'm a capitalist. And everything Howard Schultz talked about last night, I kept going, I got it. I agree. Mm-hmm. What prompted you to open your eyes to something different than what you're trained to look at politically or even spiritually?
I think that politically, I think I've always just kind of been open. I consider myself sometimes a swing voter.
Right.
And not necessarily because I feel like every candidate has always represented my point of view, but I just don't want to void out the opportunity to vote.
Right.
And I know that was a comment that was made last night, is that over 100 million citizens that were registered to vote chose not to vote in this past presidential election,
right,
because of their position on both sides of the table for the candidacy. Right. And so even in cases of that, in that, I don't want to void my opportunity in any way. And so if it comes to leaning towards one side versus the other side, I don't let a Democratic Party necessarily decide that for me.
Right.
But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily always voice my opinion.
Right.
In regards to the inquiry about whether Mr. Schultz is going to run for president or not, I think that a lot of the viewpoints that he made are very.
But I think he is running. He's running for president. Like, I don't think he's exploring. I think he said that he is running.
I think there's still a decision on the table.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think that, and maybe I'm, need to brush up more on my politics.
Let me Google it. No, I'm just kidding.
But I do believe that there was a portion of the segment from last night that said it was too soon to say because
Right.
it's March of 2019.
Was this a town hall meeting or something?
No,
or?
he was promoting his book last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were at the Carter Center. This was not something that I just raised just signed up to go. I was, graciously gifted tickets to the event, and I was graciously gifted two, and you were someone that I thought of and thank you to take with me. And I'll say that I chose you because I like to participate in things where I feel like the information is going to be of value.
Right.
It's not going to just be like, oh, we're hanging out, for sake of whatever it is, but what are you going to do with the information once you get it? And so, graciously, we're here having this conversation today about it. But I think that the viewpoint and the position that platform that he stands on is something that I think that a lot of us can resonate with.
And I think that's what's getting me about people that are in the vein of where he stands. I struggle sometimes with the far left because I am a capitalist. And I believe in free enterprise. But I also have the other side of myself, which believes you should help the less fortunate to a capacity, not to where you enable. And I don't think anybody is really speaking to that. But my biggest concern is the fact that more people aren't more open-minded. What do you think has to happen in our community to where people start opening their minds and saying, listen, what we've been doing in the past is not working?
But I think that's in general. I mean, anytime you start an initiative, you start off with the idea, you move forward, and then it's like, oops, I got these roadblocks,
Right.
And so I think that was something that I think that's very clear is that what is the strategy behind it? So, we can have a leader that has all good and purposes and intentions. When we think about our individual lives, we have all, good purposes and intentions every day when we get up and say, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this.
Right.
But life and reality happens.
That's right.
And I think the reality of it is, I think the big picture of understanding that, what is the reality behind a platform of this nature?
Right.
Like, what does it entail? What is the strategy behind it? And it's not just the strategy of like getting into office, but what is the strategy and the plan of saying, okay, here it is, pre-election, a year and a half, here it is moving into office, here is how we're going to move forward while we're there, and taking into consideration, some of the things of other, presidents have encountered once they're in office.
Right.
And we don't know those things.
Right.
I think as a society, we can sit back and complain, and we can sit back and, even in our own lives, like, why didn't that person do this? But you don't know if you're not in their day-to-day life. You don't know the roadblocks that people are experiencing every day. And so if you think about your life, like, what are the roadblocks that we're experiencing in our lives, And so that are preventing us from actually accomplishing that ideal goal that we set out for.
Well, I want to talk a little bit more about that. We've got to take a quick break real quick. We're here talking with Carmen. She's an amazing woman, and I just felt like you guys needed to get a chance to know her because she does think differently than the masses, and I'm all for that. I'm Donnie the Tree Lady, hanging out with
Marty McFly,
and we'll be right back. And we are back with Carmen. I'm Donnie the Tree Lady.
and I am Marty McFly, that guy with a drippy eye. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm just moved right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because you just started to tear up over there. I'm like, I'm loving this.
I'm just glad that Carmen is talking and she's here with me. And our cameraman told us to slide in closer. I'm just so moved.
You know what, Marty? No, but Carmen, I think the beautiful thing about what you're saying is that you took the information in and you're opening your mind to thinking differently about not just politics, but race, religion, and everything. But I want to get back to politics because that's what's in the news right now. And I think as a community, and when I say as a community, I mean, of course, all people, but I do sometimes specifically talk about the Black community, that we only vote one way and then we don't get the results and refuse to change. Now, granted, I don't want to go the other way. Y'all can kick me off the radio if you want to, but I don't want to go the other way. But at the same token, I feel like we need an alternative. Too soon? No.
No. I just, the more you get a chance to hear Donnie, y'all gonna realize
You know
she on
what?
the other way.
Oh my God, I am
She
so
really
not.
on the other way.
Okay, because let me tell you what he's talking about. Okay, I'm very entrepreneurial minded. I am a capitalist. I believe that, in pulling yourself up from your bootstraps. However, I also know that there's some people that don't even have boots and they can't pull themselves up. He doesn't think I see that side of it. He thinks I'm an undercover Republican,
Yep,
which
her
I'm
favorite
clearly
color,
not.
red. She wearing it right now.
My favorite color ain't orange, I tell you that much.
That's
But
the person, but that's the side that I'm saying.
No,
all
I'm
joking aside,
independent.
all joking aside, when I hear the things that you say,
Right.
it's almost like the racist said, "I ain't racist. I just don't like them people with color."
Oh my gosh, dude.
I'm just saying
No.
because sometimes, and no, I
But
deal
how
with
can
it.
I be on the other side and I'm pro LGBTQ?
To kind of jump in here.
Yes. Please go on, Carmen. You jump in.
Yeah, jump
Carmen,
in.
like this ain't the Carmen from 2 months ago.
I'll say this to both of you guys' point is that you both have valid points of view.
Right.
As far as capitalists being able to pull your, suck it up, figure it out,
Right.
kind
You
of figure
figure it
out
out.
there are opportunities out there or whatnot. To your point and to some of the things I think we're going to segue into, we were talking about off air about people that, when we go through situations and trials in our life, sometimes they knock us down so hard
Right.
that, it's hard for us to get back up. And so, some people sometimes have probably experienced, so much that it may appear to be, or in their eyes or their viewpoint or their perspective, it's hard for them to get back up.
Right.
But I say all that in every perspective of that, we go back to Mr. Schultz, is he talked about his childhood.
Yes.
He talked about some of the struggles that he endured as a child,
Right.
and to see where he is today. And so, you have a lot of people that have come from some of the worst, is it Ed Milet?
Yeah, Ed Milet,
he talks about, sometimes when you come from like a mediocre kind of in between middle class,
Yeah.
You don't really have that, strive of that, I had a lot when I grew up or I had nothing. And so he talks about that drive that, sometimes having nothing will push you into.
That's right.
So, I think that as we talk about, faith and Christianity, and God has dealt to every man a measure of faith.
That's right.
The
Correct.
same measure of faith. It talks about that, I think, in Galatians. And so if you think about if we all start with the same measure of faith and the principle of that, then it's up to us to grow that and to produce that into whatever it is. And I
Right.
think that
Right.
all of us have talents. Each of us has our own distinct abilities of what we're able to do and how God has intricately and created and formed us. And so it's up to us to decide, how do we capitalize on the
Right.
gifts and the talents that
Right.
we have? How do we grow that measure of faith? How do we grow that insight or that wisdom inside of us to be able to do more
Right.
for ourselves
Well,
and society and for society?
And I guess for me, my focus is helping people see the how. Because
Yeah.
we can say everybody has these talents and everything, which is why I do lean to the left. Because I know a lot of people do have talent. I'm going to prove to him I ain't no Republican. But there are a lot of people that have talent, skills, and abilities. But if they are never encouraged, like I had my mom and my dad in the home.
Yeah.
And my dad, even though he was a nut job, he always told me, you can do anything you want to do. You've got a good head on your shoulders. You're a smart girl. I remember being 4 and 5 years old being told, don't you ever go work for anybody. You better not ever get a job.
Yeah,
because
but
he
even
told
in
me to
environments
be
where they don't have that.
Right.
There are times where even in environments where they don't have that, it still will spark from somewhere.
No, I know it sparks from someplace, but what do you do for people that don't ever get that encouragement? How do we bridge the gap from the people that didn't get, like, you obviously, something happened in you to where you got a spark and you're like, dude,
But
I'm going to make it happen.
I have vivid memories in my mind when nobody was telling me, you need to come home and do your homework.
Right.
Nobody was coming home, telling me that I needed to, go to bed at a certain time or make sure I studied so that I could learn.
Right.
I didn't have that structure. I had a good home that I grew up in. I had a single parent home as well. But there was something inside of me that was like, I don't want to be behind the curve.
Absolutely.
I want to learn this.
Absolutely.
And so I didn't know necessarily what to do, but I think that it was something inside of me that was driving me to do more. I would go into my room, I would close the door, and I would sit there for hours. My mom would come and knock on the door and say, you need to come and eat.
Right.
Because I was so determined to learn and not be behind the curve.
Right.
So I just think that, even some kids, you think about what is driving them to want to pursue something different than someone else. So we all come from such diverse backgrounds.
Right.
So you can't have a cookie cutter answer to say, oh my gosh, I had this growing up
Right.
or I had that growing up. I think
Because we
that's
all come from different.
Right.
But what would you say to somebody that is in that predicament where they are, maybe they don't even have to be a young person, it could be an older person that feels stuck? What would you say to that person?
I think it's a day by day. You wake up every day and you choose. I, personally, do, to things I'm experiencing in my personal life. It's a daily choice.
Right.
I can't think about tomorrow.
Right.
I had to think about, okay, what is ahead of me today?
Right.
If I can do this, what's going to make me feel like I've accomplished something or I've chipped a little bit away from that goal or that place that I want to be.
Right.
Somebody may be able to do it in a month. Somebody may be able to do it in 6 months. But if it takes me a year, I know that I'm closer to that place that I want to be. And I think it's a daily choice.
And it is a daily choice. I want to talk to Marty real quick. I got to commend you for today. Let me tell you what I'm going to commend you for, because you are a fine example of what she's talking about in a way, because today you didn't have to necessarily be here because you weren't feeling 100%.
I'm still not feeling 100%.
But there was something in you. Like when a lot of people would have taken today and been like, oh man, I can call today off. We just going to be on the radio. But it's like, it's something in you that goes the extra mile. And I think that's part of achieving whatever you want or getting whatever you want.
I'll say this. I believe, kind of like what Carmen was saying, I believe that you have a choice.
Yeah.
And you make the choice. You can either make the choice to get up and fight through it.
Yeah.
Or you make the choice to just lay down and just deal with it. And and I'll be honest, the last couple of days I've dealt with a pain in my leg and I've been laying down.
Right.
But just laying down is not fixing the problem.
No, not at all.
And just masking it with medication, it doesn't help the problem.
Right.
Even I bought a cane Sunday.
Yeah, when you told me that, I thought you were kidding.
No,
and you were like, no, I really bought a cane.
I bought a cane, stylish too. But I gotta be fly. But when I started using it, I realized that the pain was actually more using the crutch. And I wasn't getting, I really wasn't getting better.
Right.
Because I was starting to do all the things that basically just didn't help me.
Right.
I was doing things that would just try to bear the pain.
Right.
Lay down. Don't put any pressure on it.
Right.
And when you do that with life,
yeah. Oh, talk to me.
You will stay in that bed. You will stay
right.
in that holding cell in a sense. When God kind of says, okay, look, this is what you want.
Right.
You gotta try. You gotta have
Right.
a trial, in a sense, to get to the next level. Like, what was it, Jacob, who had fought a angel, and it was like, I'm determined to be better. So he bruised his hip, and he's like, but I'm determined. I'm not gonna let you go until I get my breakthrough.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like this. If I want a breakthrough, I gotta keep breaking through, the pain and everything.
That's right.
Yeah, today.
I want you to elaborate on that crutch part because you were going somewhere. I feel like we a lot of times allow.
Yeah, I think you were
have,
going somewhere with that
crutch,
too.
and that crutch could be an excuse.
Yeah.
It could be,
Yes.
oh well, no one's ever done anything for me, or
Yeah, well, a crutch. I met a guy one time that he said, my daddy left me when I was young, and I it's just me and my mama and everything.
Right.
And I'm a 40-year-old man, and it's kind of hurt. Do you got some money to help me with?
Right.
And I'm like, you 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can use it right, but
Yeah.
you're using that excuse that he left as a crutch.
Right.
You know, people find things in their life to use as a crutch. I didn't get that job or because they didn't like me.
Right.
You know, no, you didn't do the job. You know, you didn't do what you needed to do.
That's right.
To get there. You know, a lot of people will use that crutch all the time to have an excuse why I didn't do. You know, why I can't do. You know, there's a lot of people that grew up without a father.
Right.
You know, I grew up without a father. I ain't gonna, my mama had some tricks, you know, that she did. So I think I know my daddy. But, you know, I just know he wasn't at the house. But, you know, if I lived my whole life with thinking about having excuses why I didn't achieve, I never go anywhere.
I want to kind of marinate on this crutch thing a little bit. We've got to go to a break. But finish what you were saying, and then we're going to go to break because I like where you're at.
I don't have time to finish what I was saying. Basically, if you want to get in contact with us.
Oh, yeah. If you want to get in contact with us, you can hit us up at DonnieJonesLive@gmail.com. That's DONI, Jones, JONES, live, LIVE, @gmail.com. We will be right back in a few seconds. And we are back. I am Donnie the Tree Lady.
And I am that guy, Marty Minister Marty.
Marty, you can be Marty McFly and you can be the minister.
Okay, well, Minister Marty McFly.
There you
it just don't work with, I don't know that McFly and pastor or minister.
And you ain't seen some of the pastors on TV. They kind of...
Like Dollar? That's a bad name to have as a pastor.
It's almost
and I respect
like,
them. I respect everybody, but just Dollar.
I'm going to leave that alone. But guys, we're here talking with Carmen, and before we went to break, Marty was mentioning something about a crutch, and I kind of wanted to piggyback on that. I think a lot of people use things as a crutch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I could use the fact that, I'm a woman in a male-dominated industry. My parents weren't rich growing up. My dad was crazy. My mom was mentally ill. All these, which there's two different things. My daddy was really crazy. My mom was mentally ill. But I'm just saying, we all can use it as a crutch. We can use it as a crutch, or we can use it as a catalyst.
Right.
I chose to use the things that I went through as a kid as a catalyst. And even becoming an adult, there's things that even this week, there was things I was dealing with. I was like, well, I could just curl up in bed right now and just wait for the day to end because this is not a great day. But instead, I said, you know what? I'm going to make it a great day.
There you go.
Because things weren't going the way exactly I wanted them to, something in me rose up and said, I got control of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what you have to do. Because like right now, my wife is upset with me, because I'm serious.
But why is she upset?
She's got a good reason to be upset with you right now.
Because she didn't want me to come do the show. She wanted me to go to the ER.
Hospital, yeah.
And I said, this our first show. I need the money.
Oh my God.
But at the same time, I've been in the bed for the last couple of days.
Marty, I still would have. You on salary, man. I would have paid you.
I know, but sometimes
we ain't supposed to talk about this stuff on air, man.
No, but I say that it was a determination of I've been in the bed too long,
right?
And I got to go through this,
right?
I have to go through this, and it's a thing where this is supposed to be my little moment, real quick,
right?
And it kind of connects with everything because some things are very.
Hold on. Marty's motivational minute. Go.
Marty's motivational minute. Here we go. A lot of people think that being tempted is a bad thing. But tempting also means tested.
Oh,
and it's
so
like
good.
this. How many of us how would you feel if you found out that the seatbelt in your car wasn't tested?
I'd be upset.
Right. When you go up to 35 or 45 miles an hour and they're like, well, we didn't test over 50, you'd be upset.
Right.
So if you are put in places that God wants you to be at, he's going to test you. Jesus was tested 3 times.
Come on.
Of the materials things. Can you if you're the Son of God, make these rocks to bread.
Right.
A material type thing.
Right.
You're going to flip or whatever. At the same time, integrity of I can give you the whole world.
Right.
If you just bow down to me. these are tests to say, okay, if you're going to be the Messiah of the world,
Come on.
let me test you,
Yeah.
tempt you to see if you are worthy, to be there. So in the same sense, when you go through your trials and tribulations, look at them as tests.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Like
That's
either I have a test to say, okay, do I want to pass and get up today?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to have another day that's
Right.
wasted.
That's good.
You
That's
know.
good.
So in a sense, when you go through your trials and tribulations, sometimes those are really, really tests, because if he can trust you with a little bit,
He can trust you with a
he
lot.
can trust you with a lot.
It's funny you use the word test. I want Carmen to talk about this real quick because I feel like she's got something to say about it. But I believe that you said that he says he is the Messiah, and if you say you are Messiah, this is the test. Well, I think about that even in my own life. My thing that I always say to myself is I am healthy, wealthy, powerful, and successful. I am healthy, wealthy, powerful, and successful. If I'm powerful, how do you know you have power if you're not tested? So whenever I feel like stuff is coming against me, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm powerful. I can handle this. But if I don't ever get tested, how am I going to know that I'm powerful? How will I become more powerful? You know what I mean? So I love what you said. When he said that's who he is, as soon as that happened, he got tested.
Right.
And I think that happens in life. When you say you are, say something comes along and says, okay, fine. You say you're this.
Right.
Prove it.
Just like what Peter said, I will never leave you, Jesus. I'm going to be there with you. Okay, once you say that, and here comes the test.
Oh, that's good.
A few minutes later, because whatever you say that you want,
Come on.
okay, here comes the test.
I'm patient.
Do you
God, I
want
have
that?
lots of patience.
Here's a test.
Your
Right.
patience is going to be tested.
If I could restrain from smoking some weed, that's a test. Oh, y'all can't say
Carmen.
amen on that. I'm just saying. Nah. I'm saying every once in a while you got to think about those tests, because I'm saying sometimes in your life you'll be tested with the simplest things.
Yeah.
And you think that don't matter.
Okay.
Right. But I think the test also is the response. I think God is more important with the response that we have.
Uh-huh.
And so as you were stating, I'm going to be powerful. I think sometimes too, when we're tested, how we respond is not ideal. And sometimes the reason why we repeat the same test multiple times is because of the response that we have provided.
Yeah.
When you think about Peter, he denied Jesus 3 times. He didn't realize that he was denying him until the third time when the rooster crowed.
Yes.
Then he realized, I had been tested 3 times, and in each of those tests, I failed.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes if you think about your life and you think about the opportunities that have been presented to you, whether they've been quote unquote tests or temptations, how have you responded? And I think in those moments, that's when you have to make a conscious choice and decision about being presented with something. How you choose is the choice is, does that move me closer to the destination that I want to go?
Right.
And so I'll use something as practical as going to the doctor, or, you're wanting to, attain a certification, or, get a new job, or grow in the capacity in your life, or, lose 20 pounds. Are
60.
you moving closer? So 60 pounds, but are you moving closer to that? Are you going to decide today that you're going to go and, get a combo meal, a fast food combo meal?
I'm going to get a protein bar.
Are you going to choose, I'll deny myself that. I'm driving past this fast food restaurant here. I'm denying myself that because I want to go here.
Absolutely.
Or I want to get better. So I'm going to go and get the diagnosis. Doesn't mean I have to receive that, but at least I'm aware of that, of what the diagnosis is, because then I can take that knowledge and that wisdom and then go to my Father and pray about it specifically.
Right.
So I think that when you think about how we were in the last segment talking about what's the motivation, like, somebody that really feels down, is what direction do you want to go in? And every day it's about making a conscious decision about where you're going. And so those tests and those trials present themselves, but we don't want to be like Peter when we have to keep going over 3 times and we realize I've been tested 3 times and I failed. But what is that turning point to say, you know what? I did deny him. He said that I would deny him.
Right.
I could have identified that in the first time that I denied him. But because I didn't, I went through that 3 times.
Absolutely.
And so I think a lot of times we go through situations where we're going through them numerous times over and over and not really taking a step back and realizing, why do I keep being in the same place, or why do I keep repeating
and also
the same
to
mistake?
think of the fact that sometimes we're creating what we're going through.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're creating that issue over and over again, whether it's dealing with the same people, even if it's not the same person, it's the same type of person.
Right.
You know what I
Or
mean?
Same type of situation,
Right.
decisions or choices,
Right.
et cetera, in our life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, I was going to say one last point on that is it's interesting that in the book of Luke with Peter, he really didn't, the effect of him denying him didn't really hit him until Jesus looked at him. You know, he was in the temple,
Right.
you know, where he was going through his trial and
Right.
he denied him, the crow
Yeah.
crowed or whatever, and Jesus turned and looked at him. And it was kind of like, I see you. You know, when Christ kind of sees you and you see what I should have done or
Right.
what I shouldn't have done,
Right.
that's when, you know, he went off and cried and knew what he did. So in a sense, after a while,
Right.
God's going to look at you, you know, and it gives you, in a sense of an awareness of, I'm in your presence,
Right.
and now I need to change.
But I think, too, to that point, is that God is in us.
Right.
You know, I think we try to look for some, like, you know,
It's woo
you know,
out
spiritual thing
here.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But God is really in us.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I've started to do is I've started look at myself in the mirror in the
Yeah.
morning and begin to talk to that person in the mirror.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do today?
Yeah.
You know, are you going to make excuses? Are you going to get up and do this? You know, are you going to stand by the goals that you've made?
Right.
So, and now I begin to write those goals down.
Yes.
And then, like, not just write those goals down, but then I begin to take the time to think about
Right.
what does it take for me to get to this place, you know? And am
plan.
I choosing to do that? Am I taking the steps to do that? But as I look at myself, it's almost like I'm seeing myself.
Right.
I'm seeing who I really am.
Yes.
You
Right.
know, and I'm saying to myself, I am holding you accountable
Right.
because it's nobody else.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to hold you accountable for this women's group, you know, and I'm going to tell people if you want to be a part of this women's group that we are starting, contact us. You know, you can email Donnie Jones.
Yep, at DonnieJonesLive@gmail.com. DONI Jones, JONES, live, LIVE @gmail.com. You guys, this has been absolutely awesome. And it's funny because part of me is like, I just want to stay in the flow of this.
Yeah.
Because people need this. You know, I love the fact that we get to, you know, tap into this every week. But I want to see this grow because I feel like this is the kind of thing that's going to make a difference in people's lives, you know, and I want to encourage you to continue do what you're doing.
Yes.
Continue to keep speaking up. And I know you probably should be doing some speaking engagements coming up because
Yes.
you got a gift, girl, seriously, and you're helping people open
And you
their
can
eyes.
speak at my church, you know, in East Point. Yeah.
But you guys,
it's a real church. She
it's
just
a
look
real-
at me like,
it's
a real, it in the
church.
storefront. Anyway, Donnie, I love you as always.
And I love you too, Marty. And you guys, this is Donnie Jones live with
Marty McFly.
you.
Caught me off guard.
I did catch you off guard. But we will see you. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Yep.